Hey everybody, welcome to the Blue Broad Show. Monday nights, 8 p.m. You know where to be. Your weekly fix of Carlton news. I've got the Almost Blues brothers with me as well. Look at them smiling away. What's going on, boys?
You got two of them, the most important two.
Yeah.
The bird's in his fifth dream.
No, I think he's woken up by now. I'm pretty sure it's morning over in Spain.
Jules couldn't make it, unfortunately. He's too busy having some sangrias and some afternoon naps. But we've got two of the three. What's going on, boys?
Not much, Tez. It was a big day yesterday of news. Which it's been a couple of slow news days in the off season, but yeah, yesterday was
That was a bombshell and a half.
Big bombshell.
It was. We are going to get to it, but before we do that, there's some important things I want to address with you guys while we're on a live together in front of the audience, and that is the carnage that was Dan's birthday a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Ted.
So we're talking, this was week 1 out of lockdown, I believe.
I think it was literally like 4 days out of lockdown.
Yeah.
It was something like that. It was first weekend, and yeah, I don't have much recollection.
All I remember is just Dan grinding on me, and it was just all over the place. It was great.
I locked eyes with Tez for 80% of the night,
and
like he was my dance partner.
And a lot of your memory goes when you've had 15 Cointreaux. You see that on your bank statement on the day after. So it was a good night. It was a good night. Yeah, very, very good night.
Tez, spewing you couldn't come to the Hoffer House. Shout out to the Hoffer House because it never ever disappoints. Hey,
no. Dan nailed because it was Derby Day that day. He nailed Superstorm in one of the big races, and we lifted big time.
I was singing on the mic there, Joe. Hey,
yeah, you wish.
It was fine form, and Joe also, mate. I'm noticing a bit of a change up in you, mate. You got a nice little hairdo going. Are we working on something for next year? What's going on?
Just lockdown. The hair grew out, and I thought, let's try and keep it. I'll do the opposite of what Tez did. I always had it a bit shorter. He's gone short. I'll take his hair and basically just pop it on.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do.
I've gone full jailbird. So
yeah. Yours is growing back pretty quick.
No, he's keeping the crew cut.
Yeah,
it's working. It's working.
Like John Cena.
I'll take that. Listen.
Bars today. I didn't give a fuck.
Hey, and we apologise for our kit today. Dan's just given me a PT session, and my back's cooked. So this is our workout gear.
And I wear this top just because I do.
Well, before we start, can we get a little bit of a plug for the PT company? Thank you.
Proform Personal Training. Give us a buzz on my number. Visit our website www.proformpt.com.au. Rehab, high performance, personal training. Give us a call.
Bang.
Love it. Now tonight's going to run not different, but sort of different from the Mondays. Obviously, there's a lot. The Liam Jones news. We're going to talk about that at length. So we're going to have a bit of a fan cam session tonight. So anybody who wants to come on and have a chat, not necessarily about Liam Jones, but just whatever's going on with the club coming up, season, pre-season's about to start for the men. The women are very much in the thick of pre-season as well. Would love to chat with anyone and just discuss what's going on. So we'll get the intro rolling and then we'll get started, lads. How about that?
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
What's going on? Internet!
Martin's been very impressive every single time.
Thanks to all the Carlton supporters, thank you for all the love.
No sense of playing Glasgow. And there's a magic moment. Ball inside 50, Control! He strikes it beautifully.
Alrighty. As always, we thank our members of the channel. They allow things to grow. They allow Corey Durden to be sponsored, Charlotte Wilson to be sponsored, who I actually just spoke to, did an interview with her. That'll come up on Wednesday evening before the AFLW show. So very much thank you for your support. Actually, before we actually start, boys, Almost Blues Brothers, what's happening in 2022? What's in the works? Are we allowed to reveal things?
Oh, we're in talks.
Well, Jules will still be in Spain.
Jules still going to be in Spain, but I think Jules is committed somewhat to doing it most weeks. there'll be a break at some point because we are going to head across to Spain for a few weeks to go and see Jules while the season's on. So I'll say that for now. But we're in talks. We don't know what the platform's going to look like yet, but we will be back. We'll be back in 2022. We've got 2 episodes left this year. We've actually got one coming up with Pommy in a couple of weeks to review the draft. And then we'll have our best of 2021, which is sure to be a laugh. But 2 more for 2021.
We miss doing it, don't we? Miss doing it week in, week out. No, you don't. Tez, get him off. Bin him.
I mean, when you're a star of the show, Dan, you just rock up and turn up, and that's how it is. Like a lot of planning goes into such shows.
That's the part. So Dan just rocks up for an hour, records, and then thinks, "Oh, the fairies get it all done and the editing, and then it's up. It's up the next day." Yeah, no, it's easy. It's easy. No, it's good. I love it. We all love it. So looking forward to next year. Hopefully, we can talk about a few more wins.
Yeah. How have you found the break? Like it's been a bit of a down period, but I feel like for me, it's needed because when we start up and all the news comes up, it's full on.
Yeah, like I said, we enjoy the time off, but we like what we do, so we're keen to get back into it next season. Like Joe mentioned, hopefully the boys get us some wins so we can celebrate and have more of a positive podcast rather than hammering them. So,
the breaks. I mean, the break's been good. It's been good to just reset a bit. You know, when there's no news, it's very hard to talk. I don't know how you still do it every week, Tez, on a Monday. It's a credit to you, but I mean, it was good. We did a little bit of a different format as well with the podcast itself. Once the season sort of ended, we had a few guests on. Had some really good feedback from you guys, and we might try and do a little bit more of that next year. So it's been a good break, but like Dan said, keen to get back into it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So as we just finish up here with our premiership members, we thank you very much as well. They are the superstars. Everyone's a superstar in here. But look, let's just begin because Liam Jones retired yesterday.
Fucked.
Liam Jones retired yesterday. We sat here last week. We spoke about Sam McClure had named him as the player who had not been vaccinated yet, had refused to be vaccinated at the time. We spoke about it. We spoke about how we didn't know what the reasoning was. We still don't know what the reasoning is, but it seems like things have been accelerated, sped up, and all of a sudden we are not going to have him for season 2022. Let's just start with your reaction. Like, what did you think? And you guys in the audience, what did you think? Because it was, mate, social media was on fire last night.
Oh, Joe and I were talking and it went absolutely off, didn't it? Conflicting opinions. I'd say it divided many of us, when you're reading through. And I know Joe got a little bit heated.
I'll go into my bit in a minute.
Listen, Tez, I was shocked. Obviously, his decision's his decision and we can't change that. And you know what? Fuck it. He's retired now. Let's move on and let's move forward from it. What else can you do? What are you going to do? Cry about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what good clubs do. They get on with it, and I think because I watched the reaction on Twitter, and I just watched one comment at a time, and on Instagram and everything, and I think the crazy part for me was how we all turned on each other. You know, that was quite confronting, if I'm honest. Like it was like
but this whole vaccination thing's done it anyway. So now it's obviously within our community. This has now brought that divide through his decision, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, going into 22, he's 31. So how much more does he have to give us in any case in terms of years? Because we were already starting to think about, well, we went after Lewis Young. Brad Lloyd said that, at the time we knew we needed to find a long-term replacement. So it's not like it was if it was Jacob Wiedering, it might have been a bit of a different reaction because you know that it's a guy that's going to be there for another 8-9 years still. So it's
but Tez, they didn't bring Young in to knowing that Jones was going to make this decision. They stated that as well. Did you read that?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a massive loss. I don't care which way you put it. He's a huge loss. Yeah, and yeah, he's 31. He's probably, you know, in the twilight, coming towards the twilight of his career. And sure, like he might have fallen off a cliff a lot earlier than what we might have thought, but he's just come off arguably the best season of football he's ever played down back. And Weeders has spoken about how important Jones is for his game. So that's going to be interesting to see how Weeders operates. I think Weeders is he'll be flying next year regardless. But without a doubt, he's a massive loss. I just want to circle back to a point you made, Tez, and it was one of the main reasons I've come on here, because the lack of respect for Jones as a human being, from what I saw yesterday, was disgusting. From not just our supporters, but from the footballing community, from people across Australia that wanted to comment on the issue. Whether or not you agree with his decision, whether or not you think he's an anti-vaxxer or don't think he's an anti-vaxxer, or think that he's pro-choice, or whatever you want to call it, or whether you're anti-vax or whether you're pro-choice, your opinion and on Jones's decision is irrelevant at the end of the day. Mine's irrelevant. Yours is irrelevant, Tez. Pov's is irrelevant. The only relevant opinion and decision is Liam Jones's. And it saddened me to see the community disrespect Jones as a human being in thinking that this is thinking this is an easy decision to make, but two, some people are saying he's got an asterisk next to his name for the rest of his life based on his playing career because of a decision he's made for a personal choice, based on cultural beliefs, based on his own beliefs and values. I'm sorry, whether you agree with it or not, there's a way to respectfully disagree, and there's a way to respectfully or to show respect to a person that, for all intents and purposes, for him, this is such a big issue where it might not be for you. And the biggest thing for me that I saw yesterday, and the thing that disappointed me most, not just from our supporters, and there are a lot of them that are Carlton supporters, was how Liam Jones as a person has now been portrayed, or Liam Jones, and how that leaks into Liam Jones as a footballer. And I think the two need to be separated. I think if you can't separate your own morals and values from someone else's beliefs, whether you believe in science, whether you believe in religion, whatever it may be, if you can't do that, that's more of a reflection on you as a person than what it is on Jones for the decision that he made.
Yeah, I mean, my observation of the whole thing was naturally at the beginning, you just expect there to be a real shock value, emotional response. No one really saw it coming. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, the reason why it's so intense is because people know what he means to the club. So we'll start there. But like at the end of the day, like I actually disagree with Jones in not having the vaccine, right? On a base level there. I just think just get it done, all good. But I found myself completely throwing that away when I saw the character assassination. And I think it was another example, and it was another opportunity to see how humanity would respond to what's happened. And yeah, I think, I don't know. It's just tough. It was just tough to see. It's like when you watch your family, when you're at a family function, cousins, aunties, uncles, and like there's like a fight between your family, and you watch in there, and the kids just like look at each other in the corner, and it's just awkward. There was a lot of that, and like at the end of the day, like he has a human right, a fundamental human right to choose what he wants to do.
Well, I was getting frustrated, Tez, because at the end of the day, we shouldn't have been speaking about his decision. That's completely up to him, and he's made it based on he's probably made it based on obviously his beliefs and his situation, etc. But we should have been focusing on as a community where to go next, what's going to happen next, and how are we going to move forward and move on from that decision, instead of worrying about, like you said, him as a person. It's bullshit. Well, it really is poor. It is poor.
One of the thoughts I had was like, as a player, like, we have this great fan base that are so supportive. And if I'm a player, I'm seeing like how quickly we can turn on them. What do you expect? Like, what do you expect? Like,
and spot on, because I don't know if anyone was obviously a lot of people were on social media and whatnot yesterday, but I saw a few of the players' stories about Liam Jones, and there's still a massive, massive amount of respect from him from the playing group. So there's people here that are saying the players can't respect him because how can you be behind Doc and then be anti-vax at the same time? Well, sorry, go have a look at their own Instagram stories and the respect they've got for this guy as a person and as a player.
That was Weeders' mentor. Do you think Weeders would have gone, fuck, mate, what are you doing?
Sorry, regardless of his decision on whether or not he wants to get vaxxed, the guy just lost his career. Let's not take that lightly. This is a decision that he's made where, forget about the money. This is his career. This was something that most players get a swan song and get a send-off and whatnot. He's never going to get that. He will never get that from his own support base, from the football community. And he is one of the biggest underdog stories that we'll ever see, and something that I'll remember for the rest of my life in terms of the way that he turned his career around. I mean, he's not going to be able to experience that now. This isn't a decision that's made lightly. And the fact that people were so quick to point the finger and make him an enemy or make him the villain made me sick. Sick.
I mean, at the end of the day, I refuse to believe that just because he's not having the vaccine that he fits into some category where he's just inhumane and not like us. I think about what he's not allowed to do right now. Can't go to a pub, can't go to a cafe. He's giving up his right to be paid. He's giving up his right to play footy. But also, thank goodness that we found out yesterday. Imagine this drags out to February and then we get in a situation a month before round one and we lose him. We have a full preseason to rectify and get it right and move on. That for me shows. I mean, I appreciate that from him, to be honest, to make the call now.
For sure, and it's not an easy decision. And anyone that wants to downplay it can downplay it at their own peril. For me, because like I said before, if you're judging Liam Jones for a decision that he made for his own life and in his own life choices, then that's more of a reflection on you than what it is on him. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it had been going on for a while. Some people are asking about why didn't it happen before trade period. Well, the main thing is it doesn't happen before the draft.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the main thing. Trade period, they're probably still trying to convince him or trying to, support him. Brad Lloyd he spoke today on SCN, and I almost got the feel that because of last week's, announcement that it was Liam Jones and he was the first player named in the men's competition anyway, that really sped things up. There might have been some external pressures to get an answer. At the end of the day, from what I read, we had until the 6th of December to give a final answer. But we are going to be fine. We're going to be okay. It's not a total shit show.
Hey, from this, Lewis Young, Mitch McGovern, Caleb Marchbank, here's your time.
Yeah. So, and you can still get an experienced player. You can still get an experienced player at this time. It's not
but it's someone's spot to take now, and that's exciting. If you don't see that as exciting, then I don't know what you're looking at. Yeah, it's a loss, sure, but the football club will move on. We moved on after Fev, moved on after Judd. You move on. You move on. He's a massive pillar in our back line, but we've got talent there, and we've hopefully got a better defensive structure that we don't have to rely on Jones and Wiedering to just take the one-on-one contests. So, sure, massive loss, sad, shocked, whatever you want to say, but we will move on as a football club.
And it's a big thing for Voss to get these players ignoring that now and moving forward towards the next year's goals and what they want to achieve. What's done is done. Move forward. I said it from the start. So, now it's about Voss getting the group together and putting faith into Marchbank, McGovern, Lewis Young to go, you know what, take it. So
what are you guys doing? If you had to make the call, who's the first in line for the replacement for his position?
Lewis Young. You proved to everyone that you were the steal of the trade period. Plain and simple. His spot to lose for me.
You start with Young, and then you build some synergy. I feel like, in a weird way, this is like a situation that kind of needed to happen in order for the McGovern to defense situation to have legs. Because you couldn't just put McGovern back there because Jones deserves the spot based on how he's played. But now all of a sudden, the idea is really starting to grow some legs. I don't really know if McGovern can be a great centre-half back. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. I don't know. Maybe Voss still wants to do the whole Harry, Charlie, Mitch McGovern forward line. I don't know. But there is a bit more. There's an opportunity. That's ultimately what it is. Someone is going to get a bigger opportunity. Hey, maybe Marchbank gets himself right. Maybe we get him fit. I don't know if he's ready for round one, though. I thought that might be the case, but I don't know if he's ready for round one because he did the ACL in April when I looked it up.
Yeah, it was April or May, something like that. So he's probably still a little while off. He might take it when he gets back. But like I said, for what I look at and everything you said about McGovern's true. You don't know, right? But we know what Lewis Young's capable of as a key position defender. He's to lose. He's now the second best, if you want to call it, active, healthy, key defender on our list. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it time to bring back Levi Casbolt?
Oh. Taz, move on, please. Please move on.
Can we swoop in? Can we swoop in like the...
Wait, Taz, leave it, please.
Love Levi, but he's at his time.
That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
No, fair enough. Look, fascinating developments. We're going to see what we're going to get from a compensation point of view. I'm going to speak to Pom in a moment about list and what we can do. But, you know, ultimately, I still feel like there is a space to be grateful for what he did do. I think also there's something to be said for how much it hurt to see him retire yesterday compared to 5-6 years ago when, let's be honest, I don't think there was anyone out there that had faith in him. I think everyone had lost faith in his ability to, so fair play to him. Well done for him to, getting to where he did in his career. And I hope I bump into him, like just to let him know that, like, I'm grateful,
100%. No, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
He turns it around in a big way, and I think he was a big mentor for a lot of players, especially like we mentioned, shaped the game of Weeders, which we're going to be thankful for many, many years. So,
100%.
Yeah. And also the AFL have pigeonholed themselves now. There's because you look at the NFL, there is a situation where the unvaccinated and the vaccinated can play. There are certain parameters, but that's it now. Like the AFL, they've basically decided like it's going to be this policy for the rest of eternity now.
Liam Jones is a great footballer, and I'm not trying to downplay him as a player in this game and his stance in the game, but would have been very interesting if it was a Dangerfield or a Dusty or a Bailey Smith or someone like that a pin-up boy for the AFL. It just would have been very interesting to see how the reaction was from the AFL and from the community. That's where my head's at with it. And we might run into that situation, who knows? But for now, Jonesy has blazed his own trail, and that's fine. That's fine. He's fine with his decision. We should all be fine with his decision.
Boys, what about one name? Oscar McDonald.
It's come up in the comments here a couple of times, actually.
Do we like it?
I mean, we never really got to see him go at it. Like he got hurt. What was it? His back? He had a terrible injury this year.
Yeah, he was out pretty much from round
from that Instagram photo,
2 or 3 onwards.
From the Instagram photo,
from round 2 or 3 onwards. So. Yeah. I mean, it could be. And this is what I mean. They got a full preseason, right? Like, if you want to put your hand up for that spot, the opportunity's there. Work harder than the person that's sitting next to you, and you'll get it. That's plain and simple.
True. All right. Well, it is what it is. Thanks for coming on, boys. Appreciate your comments. We'll
two more episodes. Almost Blues Brothers. Pommy's on in a minute, so I'm sure he'll spruik it a little bit, but he's going to be on for a draft special on. I think we're recording that in 2 weeks. So, and then we'll have the best of 2021 with Jules and Reese.
That'll be a belter.
Coming back in, which will be funny as fuck. So enjoy, Tez. Thanks for having us on.
Tez, thank you. Good to see you.
Speak to you, boys. Bye.
Thank you, mate.
Oi.
Hari Krishna, how are we doing?
We are good, mate. We're good. We're getting through this.
Fuck me, the vibe in this place is miserable, isn't it? Come on,
we're going to be all right, mate. Well, that's why we brought you in, because we want to talk
Jesus, Mondays are horrible, man. And we're talking about mandates and freaking conspiracies and not conspiracies, burning people. I'll say one thing, and I think this is really important, and take this from an old man, right? I've been doing this caper with you for 2 years. It's a tough caper because you put yourself out there. And I'll tell you what, the biggest thing that annoys me, I'm a happy-go-lucky chap. Not much affects me. But there's nothing fucking worse in the world than a faceless profile calling you a CUNT. And I'll tell you why. Because if it's a faced profile and you come and knock on my door and say, Pommy, you're a big melt, I can validate it in a way because you've looked me in the eyes and you've said, Pom, I think you're a prick. But when you take subtle pop shots behind faceless profiles, for me, that mentally affects me massively because I can't validate what I've done to you. I don't quite understand. So I think this is a lesson for all of us as a community, right? We set the standard, okay? He hasn't broken the law. It isn't a law. It's a mandate. So you can still exist whether you want to be vaccinated or not. I am double vaccinated. Do I want you to be vaccinated? I couldn't give a shit if you're vaccinated. I judge you on your heart and your integrity. And that's how we should do moving forward. Because, yes, Jones has gone. So let's talk about what that does. It means we've got a big fucking hole at the back. Two of the greatest defenders we've had for the last decade are no longer a combination. But opportunity creates legends. So now Lewis Young, he's played finals. Many West Coast Dogs fans were upset he was dropped for the final because they thought he did so well, particularly that Port game. So now someone has got to step up. One soldier dies, another one picks up the baton. So God bless you, Liam Jones. I love you, my friend. You'll be lost and you'll be missed, but now it's the chance to honour his name. Wheaterin is his protege. Wheaterin now is the main man. And whoever it is, Marchbank, Dave from down the shops, I couldn't give two Scooby-Doos. Let's get behind them because these boys need us, man. And Voss said something very interesting. Kerno's backed him up. Everyone's backed Jones up and said that they are hurting. They've lost their mate. So let's get behind him. We miss him too. But let's give these boys some love. Because when you're putting comments out there saying Lewis Young's a hack, he can't do it. How do you think he feels? Because I tell you what, these players read it. And the amount of players I've met who have told me they've heard something I've said, they'll see this. So whoever it is, if you're watching this, be a fucking champion. I've got your back.
Okay. Well, listen, let's get a little practical. But also when we talk about, there's two things that have happened. A list spot opens up. Some salary gets freed up. But I spoke to you earlier today. And we spoke a little bit about the situation of, I mean, look, it is all unprecedented. It's all new territory for everyone. But you had a bit of an issue with, like, how did our lawyers, like, how did we agree to this situation? Talk to me about it.
Well, I mean, this was announced. I mean, the AFL announced this early October that it was a potential. If you look around the world, vaccinations were talked about in June in the UK with the EPL. Now, to talk about the EPL, their mantra was brilliant. They refused to talk about vaccinations. They say every player's medical record is like the general public. It's private. If the players want to talk about it, fair enough. But they say they want them to be vaccinated, but they don't have to talk about, which I think is the right way anyway. But what the AFL did is they said that they had the 18-team meeting and they all agreed, unadulterated, that if a player was not vaccinated, he would be inactive or he'd retire. So I find it bizarre that 18 clubs have agreed to do this, which is basically a political statement, I think. It proves it's a political statement because this is a business. And I would not agree to sacking a player if I didn't know what you're giving me in return for sacking him. So in my logic is saying, you're telling me 18 clubs all believed every player would get vaccinated. Mind-bogglingly stupid. Mind-bogglingly stupid. So that's my first one. And the AFL have confirmed today that they are in negotiations with Carlton, and Carlton have had to apply for a concession, which is truly bizarre again, because this is the AFL's rule that they've made up on the fly. How do they not have a situation? So it's going to be interesting because from the stories, we're either going to get a pick in the PSD, so we'll have first access, which effectively means we'll get the best of the worst, or a guy who's been delisted. Or secondly, what they're looking for is maybe giving us a pick in the draft. Now, where that will be interesting, in my opinion, because Maribor Chow's a great example. Same salary as Liam Jones, but he was a pick 18 for Richmond's compensation. They're not going to give that to Carlton. So It's going to be interesting because Carlton do need a pick, I think, in the AFL draft to make it fair to level this out, because you can't put an onus on a club to force players to take a personal choice. I think you're going in a very grey area if you're punishing clubs for a player's personal choices.
Absolutely. So if it was a pick in the draft, what do you think is a reasonable pick? Like second round?
Well, I try and look at this objectively. Like, I just think, let's just say St Kilda are one of the teams that are named who have a player, West Coast or another one. Just imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and it was St Kilda. And let's just say St Kilda had picked 24 before Carlton and the AFL mysteriously gave them 25 as well. We'd kick off. And I think a lot of teams will do that. So I think that the fair thing for me would be we get a second rounder after the non-8 have had their pick. But in reality, if I was Carlton, I'd be saying Maribor Cho was a pick 18-19. Liam Jones has been on the precipice of All-Australian, leading intercept marker in our captaincy group, 500k, and he's a vastly experienced footballer. This is a hole I want a pick in the top 20s. So it's going to be interesting. But I would say if Carlton can get a 30 for it, late 20s, 30s, I think they've done a lot of research in there. There's a lot of players that they can get that aren't going to replace him, but will cover a few bases. And it may be a benefit because Carlton could maybe go out and get 2 wingers, like they're planning on doing.
Yeah. Where are you placed on the McGovern to defence conversation?
Well, I mean, I'm not overawed by it, I'll be honest, but I can see the merits. I think Liam Jones is 200 centimetres, and I think if you look at all the other midfield, all the other defence, they play a 200 centimetre with 2 roaming guys. So I could see Mitch has got a great read and flight. He's a very good field kick. He's got a little bit of pace about him as well. He may look at that third role and be the little loose guy, but then you're asking yourself what you're doing with Plowman and Kemp. For me, I am saying this should be Young's job, number one. Oscar McDonald, he'll probably say if he was on the show, I've played nearly 100 games as a key defender. It's my job. So I think you've got 2 players there that have played enough footy in the last 2 years that can say that they've got the key defenders tied up. Not many people have more than 3 key defenders on the list. Usually then you're going into the hybrid territory. And he comes from the perfect system, Vossi, because what do we say every time we play Port? We're tall, they're small, we'll batter them. And what do Port do? They use smaller tolls to alleviate the threat. It's a myth nowadays. You've got to be 200 centimetres to play a key position. Look at Steve May. He's the same height as Kemp, and he's battered Mackay. He's battered Kerno in the past. He's battered King, Rewalt, Lynch. That's what they do. Marchbank again. He's an incredible talent if he can get fit. It's all there for them. If they can't do it here now, they're not good enough. This is Young came here in his press conference for first team footy, and he said he knew he had a lot of work to do. He was behind the 2 best players. Now a door's opened. If I'm Lewis Young now, I am on the training track and I'm saying, you know what, by round 6, you'll forget about Liam Jones.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. It's a real handover for Jacob, like a total handover for Jacob Wiedering, which I think he's ready. I think he's ready to captain. I think he could captain the side, let alone that back line as well with his instruction.
I think if you watch last year as well, I was actually doing, for my video this week, I did a bit of research. And if you actually watch Jones and Wiedering go together, there is often a time where both of them have now become mature and confident in their abilities, that they peel off their man, which then exposes space in behind, which then Plowman gets the blame for because he is outnumbered by 2 tolls. So you could make a great argument. You watch the great setups, only 2 out of 3 of their backmen go for the ball. And one of them is a big tall who stays with his man. And Carlton haven't had that all of last year. So I think Wiedering has grown now to be confident and do what Jones does. And in my opinion, Wiedering is 10 times the footballer Jones ever will be. So now Wiedering's the main event. He's the senior figure. Give Lewis Young the job of saying, you know, that big lummox there, you're living on that big lummox. I don't want you to move. When he goes for a wee, you're next to him. And let Wiedering be the man. So I know it's a big loss, and I know we all hit the red panic button, don't we, and do the Team America emergency signal. But Jesus, No one in this chat can tell me when the AFL said you don't get vaccinated, a player gets fired. Everyone went through the list and said, which one of you guys won't get vaccinated? I did. I was going through it because I was like, I know it's us. So it was always.
It has to be. I think also, let's be honest, Jones was one bad form slump, 2 or 3 week patch of poor form away from the media bringing up the fact that he's 31 and we need a replacement. I mean, you see that the rhetoric amongst the fan base too, like, oh, our next premiership side, he's not in the side. Like, so I think with maybe 1 more week, maybe 2 more weeks, with a little bit more time, we'll be fine.
I'd never out anyone publicly, but there's a lot of people who have commented about this who, trust me, I get a lot of DMs like you do after the game. And outside of Plowman, the guy who gets the most hate is Liam Jones. And suddenly Liam Jones is Matty Scarlett, evidently. Like, he's either Matty Scarlett or he's the new Robin Hood. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But let's be honest. We're Carlton. We're used to, at this stage, someone's got pissed and broken a leg. So we are literally veterans of this. So it's a good bit of bad news in the terms of it's not a player's fault. It's not a club's fault. It's a rule and a personal choice. You can't really get angry at that. You know me, I get angry at everything. I ain't getting angry at this because I can't change it. Now, let's get to business. How do we fix it? And the simple thing is, when we did this video 2 weeks ago, you all unanimously said the best case scenario is someone steps up to beat Jones and becomes the new Liam Jones. Now someone's got to do it from round 1. And remember Rance, he went down. Everyone said their career was over. Grimes slotted into that position. Players stepped up. Richmond won the flag. So now it's an opportunity for someone. An opportunity.
Yeah. Spot on. Let's get some people in. I've got a few in the waiting room. I've got Jad.
I'm on the Kool-Aid, boys. I'm on the Kool-Aid, girls. Let's do this.
Alrighty. We've just lost Jad. Let me get, we've got Chris Beach here. Hello, mate.
Gentlemen, pleasure as always.
How are we? What's going on?
Well, I'm good, mate. Obviously, like you, disappointed about the Jones situation, but obviously it was going to happen to someone at some point. So I guess the next question is, who's next? And which
I know, right?
No, we're not doing this, Beachy. We're not. Don't make me kibosh my list.
Oh, well, as far as I'm concerned, mate, Jones probably won't be the only one, and it's going to be disappointing because sooner or later it's probably going to happen again, and we're going to be talking about this again. So you know.
I'm hoping the tea lady refuses to get vaccinated and she gets fired. That's as close to the Carlton list. I want someone who's not vaccinated and been fired. That's as close as I'll allow it. Any closer, I'll panic.
Have you got one on standby, Dan?
I'll make the teas. Do you know what I mean? I don't care. I can't play for them, though.
Yeah.
No,
do you think, Beachy, do you think it was, I mean, I know that there was a bit of uproar that Sam McLuhan named him and it maybe accelerated things. Do you think that probably works in our favor, though? The quicker we get to a decision, the quicker we can move on.
Yeah, there's actually some merit into that because it now opens up to someone like Young, Marchbank, if he can get himself back up and running. Of course, touch what he can. McGovern, if we want to flick him back as well. But yeah, it opens up a whole realm of possibilities.
You know, I like this one here as well from Chris. Now, if you remember, I won't say his surname because I massacre it. So if Terry wants to jump in, and
it's Chris Soras.
Yeah, whatever
I
that
see
is.
the comment.
But JSOS, now it's an interesting thing because a few people have mentioned this. If you remember, there was a few times last year JSOS swung down the back. You know, I don't mind it as a rotation as the third tall. I would like, if you look at Port and Doggies, they have a lot of players that play all parts of the ground. And Voss, we know, has talked about it, that he likes that utility. I wouldn't mind seeing JSOS, that number 1 Guernsey, you know, round 1, just as a little bit of a head game. I know he's a tiny bugger, but I'll tell you what, he's tiny for the ruck and he doesn't do bad there. So I don't mind a bit of JSOS floating down the back and helping the boys out. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to have a rotation. I don't know what you two think and what the audience think. I think, if you're honest, our backline structure is terrible. And I'll tell you for why. One of the most intercept marks conceded, one of the most marks inside 50 conceded, one of the most ground ball gets conceded. It ain't that crash hot. Like, Jones did well, but it isn't good. Now, part of that is midfield structure, but when the ball comes in, they ain't very good at getting it out either. So now Voss has to change the dynamic, which that excites me. He can't go, they've always played like this. Now he's got to be creative, and creativity is how you win games. So I'm excited from that avenue that he can't say, you've always played this way, go again. He's got to play a new way. I'm excited about that.
I like that too. No, I do like that too. There's an unpredictability about the situation too. What about, do you guys, either of you, Beachy, do you have any names of senior players that are, uncontracted right now or available to get right now that you'd be looking at? Like, I know Daniel Talia, it's unfortunate that he's retired. If he was fit and healthy, I'm sure he could give us 2 years,
Yeah. Well, there was one name that I did see in the comments briefly, and I'm probably going to butcher this, so I apologize if it is butchered, but Jay Linehart or some name like that.
Oh, Linnet. Yeah.
Yeah, Linnet, that one. Yeah.
It's actually not a bad call because Voss, he played at Port. So before they had Alir, he was the guy playing that third tall. Serviceable, definitely. Is he someone that you name as your number 2 defender? I don't know. At this stage, I wouldn't be confident in it, but definitely a good body.
Yeah,
Well, he's someone that Voss knows as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a name to consider for me. Just if he's in the draft, or if we pick him up somewhere, I'd be happy to have a look at him, see what he can do.
Interesting. All right, Beachy, anything else on your mind, mate?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think we now just wait and see what happens next. Obviously, it's disappointing to lose Jones, but nonetheless, we thank him for his contribution, and hopefully he can continue on with what happens next.
Spot on. Well said. Good on you, mate. Have a good night.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate. Should make a Christmas album. He's a good guitarist, is Jonesy.
He is. Mr. Sebastiani, mate. What's going on?
It's the Rat Pack of the Blue Broad Show. We just need Rocco and Mars.
Who've you come as? You look like E.T.
Rocky.
Oh, dear.
I reckon I need to do a few laps of Princess Park, mate. I think they're on the hunt for people on the list, aren't they?
Well, there's a spot open for anyone who wants it.
In fact, they're dropping like 9 pins.
I know. What's
it was a strange like I was planning not to do much football talk until maybe Christmas, but I thought no, you messaged me, Terry. I'm like, I had the hour chat over the phone with Pommy this afternoon. I'm like, fuck, I've got to come on. Oh, look, it's just, I think, you know what? I think the overarching thing that I picked up out of it is like just how many people just like, it's like his public enemy number 1, Liam Jones. Like, Jesus Christ, my God. And I think to repeat what I said last night on Twitter, like, it's funny how like all these people in the media and even a lot of supporters as well who support all these, stop online abuse and mental health. And they were the first to have a dip. I mean, no one knows what's going on in his life. I mean, the obvious is that he's been, ousted from an AFL career because of his stance, and that's fair enough. But he hasn't committed a crime, as Pommy said.
I mean, to be honest, it's bold. It's a bold.
Oh, it is. Yeah, but he's got. You know what? Do you know what? The reason why? Look, I don't completely agree with what he's done, whatever. But for me, he's got skin in the game. So he's, he is the epitome of someone who makes a decision and it actually has an influence on his life. So. But look, I mean, and us, mate, like what a good football clubs, like, mate, they go through the cold, calculated, well thought out decisions now that they have to make in order to replace him. But Pommy and I were talking about this today over the phone. Like, I mean, like, there's no, like, the AFL have come up with this, they've said, okay, well, this is the mandate, but I don't think they've put any thought into, oh, well, what if a couple of players actually might not want to get it? Like, what happens to, what do the clubs get? Do they get compensation? Do they get a pick? Do they have to pay out the full amount of a salary? Because there's nothing in their actual current contract that says you have to be jabbed to play. Like, in their current contracts, it doesn't say anything.
Correct. And also, I think further to that as well, Pom, you said it last week on the show, you can't blame the club. You can't blame the club for Jones' decision.
No.
It's not a privately owned sporting team like what we see in the NFL or the NBA. So you can't put the onus on the club. It's really, this is the AFL own the competition. That's just what it is. And it probably goes to show how much power the club really have in this situation. So it's their rules, and I can't wait to see how this plays out.
I just genuinely find it mind-boggling that you could have spared all this bollocks if you said, let's just say October the 1st, you announce everyone has to be vaccinated to play. I don't think anyone would have disagreed with it. Generally, the public consensus was, well, I've got to go to work and be vaccinated. So do the players. But you should have said, if a player doesn't get vaccinated, ergo, this is what we're looking at in the way of compensation. Because now what will happen, and I can already see it, Carlton get pick 28, say, we're going to get Collingwood fans go, oh, well, Carlton get a pig. That's not our fault. All of our boys are vaccinated. Do you know what I mean? It's going to create that grey area where you just never know. Where, in my opinion, I think you've got to have that. I think it's classic AFL, though. It's classic Gillian and his private school mentality of, let's say a big word, a big rule. Oh, look at me, I'm the main man. Oh, shit. Now I've got to sort it out. Do you know what I mean? This is COVID. Do you remember COVID when he used to say that, oh, I'm just doing a press conference to tell you tomorrow morning I'm doing a press conference where I might announce I'll do a press conference tomorrow. Like, classic AFL. But hopefully we get some clear gradients, because I guarantee you now there's other players out there that ain't taking the vaccine.
Of course. There's no mandate. I read up, there's no mandate in the Premier League, is there?
No, so the AFL, the UK is a little bit different, where we haven't got a mandate for you to work or anything. The NHS are a bit different to Medicare. We release all the informations, and basically it was, you can't get vaccinated. Vaccination doesn't cure COVID. It stops the symptoms. So we pushed it on the vulnerable. And then stage 2 was if you felt you were worried, family history, you got it. But players were immune. So super fit people in the UK are immune from the vaccination because they're considered low risk. And it was estimated in October, 15% of the EPL were vaccinated. And it's as low as 5% at some of the clubs. But the EPL has been firm, and the Players Association has been driving this. Players' medical records are the same as the general public. You can't legally ask your staff for their medical records. We can't medically tell you your medical records. So I think that's really, for me, that's what should have been done in the first place. But
that's where people like Terry come in and make their money, the lawyers. Do you think, I posed this question to a few people yesterday in footy circles. Do you reckon they'd have a backflip on this mandate, AFL?
This was my point before.
Like, what happens?
What happens now if in 8 months from now they allow a situation where both unvaccinated and vaccinated can play, because the AFLPA, the ones you haven't said a word yet, I'll remember that, Patrick. I'll remember that. Don't worry about that. When it suits him, he'll talk. But I feel like they've cornered themselves now. Like, that's it. Can't go back.
Well, I think, and even Pommy, you I think you agree with this as well, is that, like, when you make these, do you think, I don't know, was it a rash decision the way that they sort of implemented it and said, okay, well, this is it. If you're not done by this day, you're done. That's it. You finish. You can't play. And there was no, like, okay, well, what happens 3 months down the track, 6 months down the track, 8 months down the track? Because you look at this, like, we look at how players get or like move about with free agency. There's no real, like, set amount of compensation you get. It's just the AFL make it up on the fly, don't they?
I think the biggest problem you've got with this is it was a rush decision, but I don't blame the AFL 100%. I question the integrity of the AFL clubs. It has been
100%.
announced, and all the clubs have agreed that they agreed to this unanimously. I just fail to see what kind of sport business you're running where you don't ask what happens if. Like, I find that truly bizarre. Like, I work in HR, that's my role. And I know quite full and well my job is to keep the staff happy, because in the 50s, there was an article done where a productive workforce is a happy workforce. So I know I'm the biggest fugazi in the world, because my CEOs don't care if little Doris, who works in admin, is having a good day or not. He cares how much cash she makes her. So I just find it bizarre. If I was Carlton's, whoever was in there, the first thing I would have said is, I love it. We're going to back it because we think it's a good show to the people that we're in here as well, that we're mucking in and we've got a mandate. But I just want to know what happens if one player gets done. And if I was the list manager, I'd be demanding that, because I would have had 3 months to go, right, if it's Cripps, let's hope it's not. And you say you give me pick 28, that means I can get this guy here who is very similar in the profile of what we're looking for. Because now Paul Nick Austin has got to make an on-fly decision, because people forget key defenders ain't 10 a penny. So, like, in 30s, there's a few key defenders around that mark who probably won't be there in the 30s if we get a pick 30. But if he knew this before, he may have moved 25 with a future to an 18 and thought, I'll cover my base that way. So it's a bizarre thing. And to me, it shows the Mickey Mouse of how the AFL is run. It's a sports competition, but it's also a boys' club. And it's also a big jolly up where we need a bit of ruthlessness. Like North Melbourne today, they stole Hugh Greenwood because they broke that stupid friendship agreement. It's a football competition. You should murder each other to get one up on each other. You're not mates. You are playing for a big trophy at the end of the year where 17 clubs are irrelevant and one is the champion.
And I think that's been our football club's problem for a long time. It's always been, oh, woe is me. You know, we're poor us, and we're the cursed footy club, and here we go again. Like, it's one player in the complexity of things, and we've even said it countless times throughout the season last year. Like, team defense is the big issue. Like, you know, Jones may have had all these intercept marks and all that, but I think the issue was up the field. Like, looking at it from a pure football point of view and what we've actually lost. I think the only thing that I'm worried about personally is we'll be relying on a guy like Marchbank, and like Kemp's already done a knee and he's still young. Marchbank is, well, you know, we know he's been kept together by sports tape for the last 3 years. And then you've got like McGovern's never really been tried down there. And who else is there really? I mean,
mate, you've got Lewis Young, wear long sleeves,
as well.
win flags.
But even he's not. Would you say he's proven?
You know? Well, I mean, I'd say if you go back to his final series, his last 4 games, they were tasty. There was enough there to
he'll still need time in the group, though. No,
I think so. Yeah, that's exactly right, Terry. Exactly right. Yeah.
So, you've got to remember, though, he's the same age as Wheater. So in let's just say theory, because if my nan had wheels, she'd be a bike. But if it works, that's a decade of Young and Wheater in. Yeah. So good spines. We always talk about good spines, stay together, play together. Potentially these two could spend eternity together, which is exciting, I think.
I think I will say there is a silver lining, though. Look, I never wanted something like this to happen with any player, with any footballer, to be honest, you know, to have to lose a job. But I think the beauty of it is that it's happened now before the preseason started.
Yeah,
we can come up with our plans and come up with. I know it might be on the fly and it might be a little bit rash, but at least we've got that sort of 3 to 4 month period to say, okay, we know we're not going to have him for the year, and this is what we have to do. So, and I will say before I go, you know, I saw things about Jones and Doherty. I mean, like, let's not pot mates against mates, and let's just
compromise.
That was pretty, like, that's sickening.
Yeah, that was a low blow.
I saw what a lot of the boys put up on their Instagram stories last night, and the majority of the playing list, I'm sure all of them were very, very supportive of Jonesy's decision. And I mean, they're all mates. Like everyone's going to have their differing opinions, and I personally, mate, I wish him good health, and I wish him all the best. And let's just keep it classy. Just try and keep it classy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Well said, brother. Good to
Gentlemen,
have you on.
Pleasure.
We love you,
No worries.
Paolo.
We've got a few things in the work with the Jumper Punch. We're progressing towards a Christmas show, which we will have in plan. So we've got a few things going on there. And I'll tell you what, mate, the momentum is building towards that first true episode back of the Jumper Punch season 2.
We look forward to it. We look forward to it, mate.
All right, gents. Enjoy your evening and go Blues.
You know it. See you, brother. Shan.
Hello. Hey, look.
The comfiest person in Australia right now. Look at you.
It is freaking cold, so it's hoodie weather. Get on it.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. What's happening?
Not much at all. Just preparing for Wednesday night.
Well, there's actually been quite a few stories about the women this week, which, like, usually I might talk about it on a Monday, but no, we're going to save it to Wednesday.
Yes, we are. Thank you for your hot tip today.
Yes. Well, we had the Gab Pound story as well. Darcy Best Show was on Dylan Friends. So it should be good.
Yes, and I have the one and only Pom joining me as a special guest host for Wednesday night. So thank you again, Pommy. But no, just listening to Paul summed it up perfectly, just around Jonesy. A bit disappointing, but I still think that he'll be able to play football somewhere sometime in the future, whether it be at local level or whatnot, because that hasn't been mandated for local football in terms of needing to be vaccinated. So if he still wants to play football, there's definitely opportunity for him. But yeah, just a bit of a disappointing end to a comeback career, pretty much.
Yeah, a great comeback. A great comeback. There's not too many stories like him in terms of how far away the players seemed and how important they became to the team in the space of however many years it was. It was quite remarkable. And I would think and hope that once the dust settles a bit, there will be that space for remembering what he did do as opposed to what he didn't do. That's
correct. And I think everyone's just in the anger phase of the breakup.
Yes.
So
everyone deals with breakups differently, Shan.
Well, you can see that because people got angry, but I literally did what I always do in all my breakups. And the best way to get over someone is under someone else, as my pop used to say. So I was straight on the Lewis Young train. Like, he retired, and I was like, Lewis Young's my man. I mean, I was straight on MSN like I was when I was a kid.
Well,
into the next one.
Jonesy was honest throughout the whole process. He gave it a shot. He made it very clear that he would not be having the vaccine, and he was honest. He told us as soon as he possibly could. We tried our best. And ultimately we have a lot of time to recover and move on, and can't be upset with anyone being honest about a breakup, can you?
No, well, I think that's probably one thing that people need to remember and respect is the fact that he did it when he did, and not do a Thomas Bug and pull out a couple of weeks before the season started. So huge respect to Jonesy for that. And we have to remember he is 30, 31. And how many more years could we have got out of him anyway? Perfect opportunity to draft someone young.
Carlton like a story, don't we? We like romantic, don't we? We like Pixar, we like Disney. I think what is quite Disney about this side is Liam Jones, failed forward. 5 years ago, he was a hack, waste of a draft pick, waste of a trade, became a bona fide defender. If you look at some of the players that are next in line, so you've got Oscar McDonald, played 86 games for Melbourne, cast aside, not good enough. He's the shadow of his brother. Marchbank, every time he sees grass, he shits himself. He's a failed player. He's never going to play. Mitch McGovern He's the chubby brother of Jeremy. He's useless. He's half as talented. These three kids will be looking at Jonesy and saying, this guy forged a career through hard work and endeavour, and now I get his job. So them three particularly, and Lewis Young to a lesser extent, never got the chance, probably is left thinking, I deserve that spot. I earned it. I should have a finals in my name. I don't. I got cast aside. All four of them really have that chance to mirror his dream and be the failed guy who's the hero. So I'm excited about that.
No, it's a good opportunity for the four of them to actually put in the hard yards like Jonesy did, like you said, and really dig in deep. Because if they want that spot, they're going to have to earn it. It's not going to be handed to them under the Voss regime. Not a chance. So they need to work their asses off for it.
Yeah, true. Well, Shan, we look forward to Wednesday.
Yes.
The Charlotte Wilson interview was good today. I'm gonna get it up on the channel before the Wednesday show. So Wednesday's going to be a massive day of AFLW content. So well done on last week.
Thank
you. Look forward to seeing what's in store on Wednesday.
Yes.
I'm looking forward
See
to
you all
it.
8:00 Wednesday.
You know it. See ya.
Bye.
Where are we? Here he is, Jad.
The Jadster.
How are we,
bro?
boys?
We're
Tell you
good.
what,
I'm
you're
all right.
looking
I'm all right.
henge. You're looking henge, bro. How
What does
much
that mean?
protein? How much protein are you knocking back in the off season? Look at you.
Protein.
Look at you. You're like square now.
Yeah, we're getting there. It's a work in progress. It's a
Looking
work
good,
in progress. Thanks, mate. Appreciate
Get
it.
into his inbox.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, boy. Look, I'm probably going to repeat a lot of what everyone said, but I'm pretty pissed off. I'm really angry. And it's not a Jonesy. It's not a Jonesy though. It's at people that I follow and that I thought I like knew and talk about footy with. Just seeing people behave how they have is fucking made me sick, to be honest. And I wasn't going to jump on, but it's just really pissing me off. It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely pathetic. It's just like you've just consumed so much mainstream media and propaganda over a vaccine, and you're turning. And like my point is, footy is meant to bring us together, and then seeing that reaction last night broke that illusion, broke that wall for me. So now it's like I can't, like, you want to go to the footy, like when you go to the footy, you know, okay, we're not mates, but this is bringing us together. That's all changed now for me. I can't associate with people who want to vilify someone for making a personal choice that's quite frankly no one else's business.
Yeah.
It's just fucking disgusting.
My thought about that was about, like, you know, there's this sort of implied kind of divide between, you know, players and fans, and there's like this wall that gets put up, and fair enough too, because so many want access to them, kind of thing. And if I was a player and I'm just watching the reaction, I'm thinking, man, do these people really care? Like, because the players have been. I know that, like, they've been in hotels and in hubs and whatnot, but got to give it up to them. They went through some serious conditions as well to get a product up to entertain us week to week, to keep us afloat. There was a very important time for us during both seasons, especially 2020, when they were in hubs for 3 or so months away from their families and whatnot. And you just wonder, like, what's that saying? Like, you either die a hero or you live long enough for you to see yourself become the villain. Like, I think Mark Murphy's a great example. Heralded, and then at some point it turns, and I think it's something that we can all learn from, for sure.
Yeah, no, you're right. Good points. Yeah, go, Pommy.
No, it's a tough one, because I agree where Jad's coming from. I was actually heartbroken when I saw some of the posts. I thought some of the posts were a little bit far, because I know I always preach this, but I like to think I practice what I preach, and I see us as a family. So when I saw Liam Jones, he fucked up, in my opinion. If he was my brother, I don't agree with what he's done. But because he is my brother, he's a Carlton brother, I want to get behind him, and I want to fight the media for him, even though I might not agree with his personal stance. If I love you, I'll defend you when you're right or wrong. My wife's wrong 90% of the time, but I have her back. Only I can call her wrong. No one else can. So I feel that it was kind of harsh. And I said to Terry on the phone last night, if I was a player, would I give 100% when I'm seeing a guy that's meant to be a hero of yours being thrown under the bus? Would I want to give 100%? And I always think that way. I do think it's sad. I understand it's a motive, but I do reiterate this, what I said at the start when I came on. Regardless of what you think, just realize that you are influencing people. We talk about mental health all the time. Carlton are a huge thing of it. I was first thinking about Liam Jones's mental health. He's been outed. He's had to make a statement. The club has 2 times now reinforced it is a private matter. We have accepted what it is, which kind of alludes to me. It's not as simple as he's watched a Joe Rogan podcast. He's on DMT. It sounds like it's actually a personal, heartfelt reason. And for that reason, we don't know what it is. So why get angry about it? That's why I tried to take the mantra, well done, Liam, respect you. I personally think controversial. There needs to be more people like Liam Jones who are willing to put their balls on the table and say, this is me, love me, hate me, I'll take the responsibility and the consequences. Because a lot of people who sent him death threats, I saw that last night. I saw someone make a comment, I hope his dad gets COVID and dies, see if he still won't take the vaccine then. That's too far for me. That's way too far. Because at the end of the day, he is a human being. He's put his balls on the line. Whether I agree with it or not, I'd shake his hand, I'd look him in the eye, buy him a beer and say, thank you for having the balls to do it. Because a lot of people will say that on Twitter, but I guarantee that person, I'm calling you out, that person who said you wished his dad died, bet you wouldn't say it to his face. I bet you'd ask for his autograph. So Liam Jones, to me, has my respect in the terms of, even though I don't agree with his opinion, I 1,000% back any man or woman who will say what they say and then live it. Because we need more people like that and less people, faceless profiles, dropping moronic comments. That is who I would go into battle for. That is who I would follow into battle.
Yeah, and I think there's just like it's sorry, Jad. There's not to say that people can't have an opinion. There was like feeling emotion, feeling disappointment, feeling anger and whatnot, and then there was just this one point where it just like a death threat. We don't even know why. How can you send a death threat to someone when you don't even know why they're doing what they're doing yet?
Like I said, I hope it's something really serious. Like, I hope it's something serious, like a real serious reason. I don't mean death, but I mean something that we all can relate to. Do you know what I mean? Something that we can all relate to. And I'd love to see how many people suddenly feel bad. And I'd love to see how many people apologize. Because I think of his mental health. The poor guy has said that. And it could be something horrible. Like, I'll use a personal example. Someone at work refused the vaccine because their family member had severe heart palpitations. Now, that is one of the side effects of this. That is one of the known side effects. And his dad actually died of a heart attack. So he's now panicking because he's that bloodline. He may get it. And the doctors have said it's not a risk, but he's petrified because he's got a young family. Now, that touched my heartstrings because I just went in blindly. Do you know what I mean? And had the vaccine because I was an idiot. I just wanted to go to the pub with my mates. That was my reason. Like, I hate to say it, just wanted to go for a beer. Do you know what I mean? I'm a pom. But it does touch me that I had to see him leave a work and the poor guy doesn't know if he's going to work. But that was why. That was why. And I understood his reason. As a dad, I understood his reason that I'd be worried that I might die and who's going to look after my kids? How's that going to affect them? So until you know what it is, you don't really know. Like, I think, like Matt here, everyone has a right to be annoyed. Yeah, you do. But over something important. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're vaccinated, you're protected. So what are you worried about? Do you know what I mean? What are you worried about?
And that's the point. And that's the point, mate. It's you just let him make his. It just really shits me. But regarding the AFL and as an organisation, this just proves to me once again, it's an organisation that follows. They don't lead. The way they operate, the way they implement rules, the way they trial ridiculous rules, and then they just wait to get the reaction and then make a decision. The way they operate is just unlike any other organization, sporting organization I've seen. Why is there not a policy that allows an unvaccinated player to retain their career? Like, this has never happened before, what we're going through. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I think it
Vaccine
will be
mandates, no jab, no
interesting.
job. Why is there no policy?
I think it will be
Lead
interesting
AFL.
because in the UK they're seeing a massive decrease in booster vaccinations because there was the first excitement, oh, we're going to go back to the pub, we're going to go to the footy, I get to go back on Tinder, yeah. And then obviously they've lived the life again. And then 6 months, I ain't having a vaccine again. My arm hurt a little bit. Screw that. And it's starting to tail off. It will be very interesting to see, not just in football, but how the Australian government deal with that, because they have made a precedent. The mandate is quite clear. No vax, no work. I don't think as many people are going to have the booster. That's my personal feeling. I don't think they are. And it'd be interesting to see what the AFL do with that moving forward.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee that if some players are dubious now and it's been confirmed by the Eagles, a lot of their players were concerned about the vaccine but have been persuaded. If you're persuaded, you haven't gone in willingly. And that is my concern. If we suddenly start more tailing off in 6 months' time, mid-year, the AFL has got a shitstorm, a big shitstorm if players start dropping out.
Yeah.
And there are health issues with this thing anyway. So you've seen it. Football players, heart issues out of nowhere. Sergio Aguero might have to retire. So I'd love to see what they're going to do. Like, I would wish they would lead properly and create their own policies instead of just following what the government tells them. Like, it's just really weak for me.
Fair enough, bro. No, it's good.
Yeah, I started craving lemonade with beer. I had to give myself a slap.
Yeah. Well, listen.
All right,
hopefully next week we're talking about exciting things like the next player we're going to get or whatnot. But tonight was
Rants, baby.
Yes, correct. The Kool-Aid is coming before you know
Rancy,
it.
let's just reel him in. Just get him in.
Yeah.
All right,
bro. Have a good one. See you, mate.
You too.
All right,
I fucking hate COVID.
Oh no, we've got Maddie here. Hello.
Hi, boys.
Strawberry.
Eating strawberries. Oh,
I know.
She's added a bit of class to proceedings.
Living the dream over here. Strawberries on a Monday night.
I just pulled them out of the fridge.
Love it.
I'm gonna be kind of quick. It is on one hand kind of like a breakup. Like the reaction from some people is just, it's overboard. It's a lot. And that was before we even knew that it was Jones. That was weeks ago when it was, there's a Carlton player who's not getting it. So that was the first part. But I may end up being like a fool here because I've said it a few times now. I back Ross in to turn Young or McDonald, one of the young guys, even McGovern, into that proper defense line with Wiedering taking that leadership. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't as shocking as if maybe Teague had been coach. Maybe I would have been a bit more worried. But
I feel you.
Yeah, I would have been shit scared. To be
Oh
fair.
my god, I totally feel. Yeah. I think. I'm with you, Maddie. I'm with you. I think I have faith that Voss can send a message that and like motivate that next possession, that next position to be filled. And I think he can accelerate it as well. I think it's a situation where the replacement can be accelerated. Will there be maybe some short-term pain? Maybe. But the reality is we probably had to go through it anyway. Like, we needed to find the Jones replacement within the next 12 to 24 months anyway. So, now we just needed to do it a little earlier.
There was a suggestion I heard on the radio that his contract ends next year, but he could have gone for another 3-4 years. I don't agree with that in the first place. I didn't think he would last much longer than another year, maybe 2, before like everything happened. But yeah,
I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on, Maddie. I mean, I think worst case scenario as well, the way I look at it, he could have gone down with an ACL first week of pre-season training. So if it makes anyone feel better, just imagine it's an ACL and it's a career-ending injury. Do you know what I mean? Just take the vaccine out of it. But the facts are now, regardless of what anyone feels or whoever it is, we have to replace him. So it's happened the best time. They're not even back at pre-season training yet. So now they've got a good 2 months to learn a new system, which they were going to learn anyway. So you don't even know if Jones would have fit Voss's idea of a backline. It might have been Young. He might have preferred a one-on-one lockdown defender who doesn't run. So I'm excited about that. So now it's going to be a time for Voss to earn the money he's on. Let's see what he's about. And hopefully these boys impress us round 1. Because I'll tell you what, these boys win round 1. You'll be like Liam Jones, who we've never had a number 14. I will. Anyway, I'll forget him.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I want someone to take over, forget, all of what's happened last however months. Round 1, just
Listen.
start again.
We're the Carlton Football Club. We are the soap opera of the competition, and I'm not surprised that this has happened to us. I'm just not. I'm used to it.
Yep.
So anyway, Maddie, it's good to have you. Good to chat with you. We'll be in touch soon.
Bye.
See ya.
No Carlton, no vaccine, no finals, as Sportsbet said. That was good banter. Just quietly, Carlton fans, instead of bickering, appreciate some of the quality banter that people have had at our expense. I've been really impressed with the opposition and their level of respect for Liam Jones, because there hasn't been that many memes. Because I'll tell you what, I admitted to Swoop Luke last night. If this was Swoop Luke, I would have been going in hard. There would have been memes. I would have got a picture behind me of it. Like, I would have laid into him, gone the full 9 yards. So respect to the rest of the AFL that you haven't taken the piss.
Yeah, they've let us just eat ourselves. So it's their job was done. It must have been funny watching us just implode as a opposition supporter.
I did love Swoop Luke. He put one post up and you were like 2 seconds and you bit. And I was like, oh, God, come on, boys. You're making it too easy. Let him hang himself a bit.
Oh, dear oh me. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys. It's been good. Thanks for those that came on. And hopefully we use this as a bit of a therapy session. We'll bottle it up and then we can throw it away and we'll move on. We'll be fine. We'll be back throughout the week. Pom, what have you got coming up on your channel this week? You mentioned it before. What else have you got?
I have a couple of sexy special guests in Pommy and Oz this week. I have the beautiful Jessie from True Footy, and I have my favourite and your favourite Magpie. I've got Swoop Luke. We're doing a bit of a collab together. It's going to be quite exciting. So I've got that, and other than that, you'll just have me talking nonsense, smiling, dropping nan jokes and all that thing. Oh, by the way, thank you to everyone as well. We hit 1,700. So amazing. I think I'm the third most watched Carlton fan channel now.
Love it.
Coming for number 2.
Love it. Love it. Well, I've got the top 5. I did the top 5 favorite moments as a fan. Then the next part to the video is my top 5 worst moments. So
fucking hell. How did you get 5?
I could have had 20, seriously.
Yeah, I suppose I better push Blue Abroad as well. You will see me Wednesday with the lovely Shannon. I'm just bringing an accent. She's got the intelligence and the good looks covered. And the week after, I'm with 2 Italians. So England and Italy don't often join together. So 28th of November, that is. So that's 2 weeks. I can't count. On with the wonderful Almost Blues Brothers. So I'm looking forward to being abused by them.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, good night, everybody. We'll chat soon.